Hi, I'm Jake Burns from Stiff Little Fingers, and you're listening to the Ireland Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Ireland Podcast. This is Fender Jackson. The time is 2:03 p.m. on Tuesday the 19th of May 2026. I am in my home in Galway and I am online with this person. Who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? My name is Henry Cluney. I started a band called Stiff Little Fingers back in 1970. And I'm also in a band called XSLF, and I do a solo gig, but I'm responsible for the existence of the band Stiff Little Fingers, played right through to 92, and that's me.
Cool. What date did you start the band? Come on.
What date did I start the band? 77.
77. Right, so you were just bang on punk.
We basically what happened was the first punk stuff I was aware of was 76. At the time, we were a cover band. I say we. This is Jake Burns, me, and Brian Faloon. We were a cover band doing Deep Purple, Rory Gallagher, rock stuff, and I had heard some of the punk stuff coming out. I'd listened to it on John Peel, and I just thought I really like this sort of music. It just hit me. It's such a cliche, but it did hit me like a brick. It was like, whoa. It had the energy. It had the way of saying things. You didn't have to be Yngwie Malmsteen. You could just make music, and that's what it was really. So the first, what they call the first wave of punk would have been the Damned, the Sex Pistols, stuff like that. We would have been just about the second wave.
Right. And so the first wave was around the end of 76, the latter half of 76?
76 would have been, the Damned were the first band to put out a punk single, and that would have been 76. They put out New Rose in 1976, Anarchy in the UK by the Pistols, 76. And so you got to count that as the first wave. And anything that came later, obviously being influenced by the earlier stuff. So I would say it was, we're probably second wave, yeah.
So you were in a band with Jake and Brian Faloon. Was there no bass player or one of you played bass?
Well, we started at school, Brian, me, and I've known Jake since 1971. We did, in Northern Ireland, there's an exam called the Junior that you do in I think it's your third year of school, I can't remember. And I met Jake. I just happened to be sitting the desk, the rows of desks that you get in schools. I just happened to be sitting opposite him and got to talk, and then never saw him after. And, well, I saw him, but we didn't stay in contact or anything. Then the other coincidence being the first year of, we came back to do A levels or further education, whatever you want to call it. And I was just sitting at my desk, and I heard Jake and Brian happened to be sitting directly behind me, and they were talking about some album. I don't know what it was, and I remember turning around and going, no, you're totally wrong. And that's how we basically met. And since then, we used to go down to Jake's house. He lived about a 5-minute walk from the school, so we'd go down there at lunchtime and listen to records. And he already had a band together with him, Brian, and a bass player called Grammar. They were doing original songs, but I mean, we're all still at school, so none of them were setting the world on fire. What wasn't even in our thoughts. And then, of course, me being me, I said, he showed me the guitar and things, and I thought, I'd have to get one. So I got a guitar for Christmas, and that was it all started.
Wow. So, first of all, I'm struck by the fact that you were brought together initially through an argument.
An argument as in, what would you call it? A light-hearted argument.
Yeah. Professional.
No, you might be wrong about that.
Artistic disagreement. But that, I think, in fact, I'm sure, that is what sharpens music, is that you need to sharpen each other's viewpoints so that whenever they're coming at whatever angle they're coming at, they're more convinced about what they're doing. And you are too. So it sharpens the whole thing and brings it up to another level.
And I mean, for something like music, it's one of the very last things that you can disagree with and argue about without being hauled up as a you're never going to be called, you're a musicist. You know, I mean, I understand you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're the other.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for the day when you're a musicist. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's one of the few things left you can argue with and still, still be friends with people.
Yeah.
Who's this kid?
He apparently, you see, the guy that was managing us at the time and writing a lot of our lyrics, Gordon.
This is the kid from the sleeve of.
Got to get away from him, but he's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a journalist at the time. So these were all pictures that were coming in at that time, just during the Troubles and things. And he would just like the look of that picture. I honestly don't know who he is.
Okay.
No, it's nothing to do with any of us, or he's nothing we know.
I spent hours trying to work out it was Ali McMordie. As a child,
I'd love to help you, but
as a child, not as a 50-year-old man. Okay, so Alternative Ulster, what a great track! And as I say, I want to do a deep dive in this. I've never done this before, but I was a music teacher for about 6 years, and I used to do an awful lot of analysis and teach it with the kids, and then also to break a song down, and then to arrange it, and then teach them the parts. And it was just, I did an arrangement of Sensitized by That Petrol Emotion the other day, and I could feel this fire lighting inside of me. So I thought, why don't I do a bit of analysis about songs with the people who made the bloody songs? I thought it'd be cool. Yeah. So, Alternative Ulster. First of all, who and when was it written and why?
It was written, I should know this. We must have wrote that song at the end of, actually we wrote it in 78, and Gordon Ogilvie was our manager. Gordon actually had sets of words, sets of lyrics. He happened to have the same idea that we had, just separately. I mean, we weren't working together or anything, but when we met him, what's the word? We co-wrote together on stuff. And Alternative Ulster was originally written to give away with a fanzine in Northern Ireland, a punk fanzine called Alternative Ulster. And they asked us, would we be able to write a song for them to give away as a flexi disc? The problem is, when we wrote it and recorded it, we thought, that's too good just to give away. So we had to disappoint Alternative Ulster and keep the song for ourselves. And it was one of those where, in the basics of the song, if you like deep dive into the song itself, it's not complicated. I mean, none of our stuff was ever complicated.
I'll disagree with you there. But we'll get into that a bit more. But to say what you're going to say.
Well, I just think that the way it came out, it just sounded really good to us. That four chords on a verse line is very standard for a lot of songs around that era, punk songs, and we just decided we need to keep this, put it out ourselves, or put it out back. We need to put it out rather than a fanzine, and it just seemed to say a lot about the way people were thinking, and our I hate using the word, but our mantra was always not street politics, not political as in one side or the other. Political just meant what day-to-day life was like for everybody.
You transcended politics in many ways, I felt.
You have to, because, and even that sounds funny, you have to, but it's the only way to talk about things in a way that gets discussion, because as soon as you say, well, no, because I want this, you're putting yourself on one side, and you're of course you're immediately then, when you discuss it, you're either defending or attacking, if you like, another point of view. And I think the way we looked at it was that that's not what we want to do. It was never our intention. And the lyrics of Alternative Ulster are very much about people, ordinary people like we were living in Belfast, but in Northern Ireland at the time. And it was just the way it all came together and the way it all sounded seemed to ring a bell with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which, well, and you know, it's easy for people to say, oh, blah, 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 blah. That's a rare thing where you can actually find something lyrically, especially that hits with so many different people, and when you get it, boy, don't I sound grand? When you get it, you really know you get that feeling that this is going to work.
Yeah. So who did the lion's share of the writing? But musically, you know,
Jake did most of that writing. I did a bit. Jake did most of it as he did at the time. Jake was always a good songwriter. Gordon would have written the lyrics, and after that, it was then the way I always see it in a band is you've got your main writer, be it lyrically, be it melodically, but a band then adds its own parts to it, if you get what I mean. It's not just, you know, one person's vision and that's the way it comes out. And this was true of Alternative Ulster. We had the song and needed a couple of bits, and I'd come up with bits, or Ali McMordie, our bass player at the time, he would come up with something. So I've always thought the fair way to describe any song, yeah, you can have your main writers, but everybody adds something.
Yeah.
And I think without all the added parts, you know, they all add up to a whole, which is probably the fair way to describe it.
And then the whenever the lyrics came on, was
Yes.
that Gordon gave you the guys the lyrics, and then how'd that work?
He would come up with lyrics, but it was never a case of, here, these are the lyrics, this is what you sing. It would be ideas, and he would come up with that, and of course we would go through them and go, you know, so don't like that, or don't like this, or, you know, I'm not sure I could sing that with I almost want to say with a straight face.
So he would have listened to the initial song and then gone away and written the lyrics and then come back with some lyrics. How'd that work?
Actually, in the beginning, that actually is the way it did become. But in the beginning, he actually would have had a full sheet of lyrics with no song. So because Gordon doesn't play anything.
Yeah.
So he would have had lyrics written and given them to Jake, who would have go away and come up with an original idea. And then, obviously, when you're writing to someone else's lyrics, sometimes parts don't fit your idea of music, and you've got to like jigsaw things around and what have you. So that's the way it all came together.
Paul Muldoon talked about W.B. Yeats, the plumber.
Yeah.
In that, you know, he would look at W.B. Yeats poetry the same way as a plumber would look at a bathroom.
You're right.
Yeah, and he'd look at, well, why did he put the bath over there? It's because of the pipes, the way that they're leading to there. So sometimes you have, and he talks about the macker, and I always talk about this, the macker, who's the craftsperson, and the troubadour, who's the conduit where the art flows through.
Yes.
And the idea is to get as much of the troubadour involved and as little as the macker involved. But sometimes the macker has to bang something into shape if it's not working.
Exactly, and that lends it its poetic edge, if you want, because then it's just any other way, it's just a description.
So the lyrics came first. Jake was working something out, and then
Yes.
Jake took the piece to you guys in a rehearsal space, and you're working on it, and you're working on it with the idea of this fanzine initially, and you're jamming it out, and then so that guitar intro, for example, is that Jake's line or your line?
It was, and I mean that sort of playing over the drone and open D string is used a lot It always has been. I mean, we used it. The big country use it. The Skids use it. Billy Duffy uses it. So that, and I think that's probably the best part of that, the most standout part of the song, because it would have been so easy just to go 1, 2, 3, 4, start the song. But that's one of those intros that people, as soon as they hear it, know what the song is.
On an acoustic guitar. Oh, let's do it properly.
Yeah.
Just D and A, isn't it? Yeah.
Hold back.
That drone, I was just playing it there just before we talked, and I was playing that drone. I went, "Wow, that's just like the uilleann pipe."
You know what? That's how that stuff. When you think of stuff like that, like pipes, bagpipes, anything that has the drone going, and then of course you're going to play whatever scale degrees you want over it or under it. And yeah, that's how that whole thing works. As you know from playing, the D being the key note, within that underneath it, it's very pipe-like. Yeah. I mean, you look back at the Skids or Big Country. I mean, their whole music was based on almost playing bagpipe type music, and that's of course the drone with stuff underneath it.
Yeah, and uilleann pipes usually are in the key of D. And
are they? Right, okay.
Yeah, and that means that most of the music played in an uilleann pipe is usually either played in a D or a G.
Yes.
You can get some that are C sharp and some that are C, but that's not the norm. Usually it's D.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that from living in Galway and being surrounded by so many pipers.
Of course.
Yeah. So then you're jamming it out, you're rehearsing it, then you decide to take it to the studio, and it's recorded separately from the rest of your first album.
Story about that is we had done a gig supporting Eddie and the Hot Rods at the Ulster Hall. Just so happened that their music producer was there, and he heard the stuff, and he was like, "This band's great," blah blah blah. Took it back to the London. Not Richard Branson, the guy was the head of Ireland at the time. He was away working in, because he used to do a lot of recording in Jamaica and things like that. So he happened to be in Jamaica at the time, and when he came back, he decided he didn't like the sound of the band and it wasn't for him. At the time, we had recorded, I think, 4 tracks. Well, Ed Hollis, that's the producer's name. Ed Hollis and us had recorded 4 tracks, one of them being Alternative Ulster. And when we came time to record Flammable Material, instead of redoing it, we just thought, we could ask Ireland for permission to use it, which is why Alternative Ulster sounds different than the rest of the tracks. It was produced in a different studio by a different person.
Wow. Chris Blackwell, is he the head of Island Records?
Chris Blackwell, sorry, that's it, yes.
Sorry, I just Googled it, so... Yeah.
Chris Blackwell, they did a lot of stuff in Montserrat and all, recording the Police and all would record, and that's where he was. He just happened to be away at that time.
Yeah.
Then came back and said, nope.
Yeah. So, that was nice of them to give you the use of the song. Did they want money for it?
I don't think they did. I don't remember any talk of us having to pay for it. I think what it was, Ed Hollis had been so enthusiastic about us that when the time came that Chris Blackwell thought it wasn't for him, it was like, well, let them use it, because, we flew over and all this, everybody was, in fact, I think Jake and Brian quit their day jobs because we thought this is it, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was more a case of, we'll help the wee fellas out,
Yeah. Did you have a day job at the time?
No.
Okay, so you had nothing to quit, so you're cool.
No, I was I lived a life of not luxury. No, I wasn't working at the time. So, Yeah, I had nothing to quit. The other two did. So basically, when we heard No from Chris Blackwell, it was like a hammer blow for us because we put so much into that.
So let's hear the intro. Shall we hear the intro? I don't know if I'll be
for it,
struck down from this because this is educational. This shouldn't be struck down because this is like. Do you ever watch Rick Beato?
Oh yeah, I like Rick
I
Beato.
love Rick Beato. So I was looking into him. Why does his stuff not get pulled down? It's because it's educational. So I'm hoping that we're going to be the same with this. So intro. It's 8 bars long, and the tempo is about 91 to about 84 to about 94.
Okay.
According to my computer. Right. How many guitars are playing there?
Boom.
And how did you do it? Did you do it live? Did you do both together at the same time?
Actually, Jake did both of them because I don't remember what I was doing, but anyway, what happened? When you listen to that intro, you can hear the slight imperfections in timing because what we were monitoring through was okay, but there's no click.
I was going to ask you that. So there's no click, yeah.
We didn't play the click because we never did when I was there up until later on. We never played the click. I never liked it. To me, it was too restraining, and you can hear that in even shifting the time. I mean, we hold the first D for. It's not like we'll hold the first D for a bar and then we go. It's held for as long as we feel like, and then go into the rest of it. So without a click, you're sort of guessing what you've done.
Yeah. I'm just looking. The beautiful thing about Logic, or one of the cool things about Logic, is you can drop the file in and then it'll tell you what the tempo is.
Yes.
And so I'm just looking here. It ranges from whenever the drums come in, it's called from there, right? So it's about 116 there, and it's all about 117 BPM, goes up to 121, which is normal for 121. That's at the end of the chorus going into, So it's normal for the end of a chorus or a drum fill, the things speed up and then they come back in and settle down again. So it's all about 117, 118 BPM.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jake plays that lead line by himself and then the rest of the band comes in together in that one recording.
Let me see if I can remember how that part goes in. Well, yeah, there's one guitar. Which
so
Jake
this is just the end of that. This is and then his one guitar comes in.
He plays through the chord twice, and then we're all in.
Yeah. So did Jake play let's call it the guitar lead, the guitar break intro?
Yeah.
He played that, and then he plays the 4 chords, which is D, A, B minor, G. He plays that twice, and then the drums come in, and then you're all in.
Yeah.
Was that all in one take then?
It was. We always recorded, if you want to call it live in the studio, right up until we did Now Then album, which wasn't one of my favorites. But yeah, we always recorded as a band. So if somebody made a mistake, we all had to go back and do the whole thing again. So whatever tempo we played or whatever way we felt, that's the way it came out.
Brilliant. So whenever it came to that second guitar in the intro, Jake dubbed that obviously after you'd done the main track.
Yes.
How many times did you record? How many takes did you do? Do you remember?
Now you're asking. I don't remember it being that very long. It wasn't one of those songs that we had to do 20 odd takes of. I think we would have got it within 4 or 5 takes maybe. Because obviously you rehearse the thing till you're sick of hearing it. So and we just would play it like we played it live. We hadn't really, but we'd been rehearsing it, and it was pretty straightforward. The beat and all of the song like that is pretty straightforward. Break it down again with the time when that intro part comes in again. But yeah, I mean, it was just a case of whatever tempo the first guitar came in at. I mean, if he had played it faster, the song would have been faster. If he'd have played it slower, so really the tempo was never strict. It was whatever we felt.
And then did Jake sing the vocal line in that?
He does.
In that take as well?
No. I think what we did, we had, of course, this was recorded at Island Studios now, because before we had a Suspect Device, which is recorded at a radio studio here in Belfast, outside Belfast, and it was 4 tracks. Our Island at the time was probably a 16-track studio, so we had enough to play the stuff, also have everything mic'd separately, so you weren't, 2 mics was the whole drum kit, or 1 mic would have been the whole drum kit, one for so the vocal was done later. That would have been the overdub, if you like, part of it. The only reason being, of course, is trying to isolate sound from the amps, the bass, the drums, and then a vocal mic. So the vocals would have been later an add-on.
Does that mean that you're playing the song instrumentally the whole way through?
You're playing it in your head, yeah.
Wow. Rory Gallagher, I've interviewed Jerry McAvoy a few times. Yes. Rory Gallagher's bass player, and he was explaining that Rory used to just sing live. There must have been like partitions going on between the kit and the vocal or whatever.
I wonder, did they just use it as a guide vocal then? And then
no. Well, he was talking about what's the first song on his first solo album? Laundromat. Laundromat, is it?
Is that Laundromat? Right, okay.
Yeah.
And he sung that basically live with the rest of the band.
Yeah.
And they kept that take?
In fact, they hadn't even played the song the full way through until they recorded it. How cool is that? So he showed them the parts, and it was all nod and a wink, for the next section.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. So you were playing live and singing the voice in your head, and then doing the vocals later.
Yes.
You mentioned about the mics. No, I'm going to get granular here. Do you remember the amount of mics that were on the kit and the amount of mics?
I think the kit would have been obviously a kick mic, snare mic. I think the snare mic might have been used for snare and hi-hat. Yeah. I don't think the hi-hat was separately mic'd. And I think Brian had maybe two toms and then just maybe a stereo overhead pair, and that would have been the kit. So you're probably talking at most, maybe six mics on the kit.
Wow. And then the guitar and the bass, what was happening there?
Just the usual, whatever amps we had at the time. We used also, it was recorded, like I say, by Island, so they did have amps and things.
So you didn't use your own amps?
Wanted to, but at the end of the day, it was like, well, but the broad amps and let us use them. It's also why this has always been something since that song came out. It was actually recorded on Fender amps, right, which are like not made to be distorted. Yeah. So, but I'm talking Fender Twins and things like that. I mean, you got to turn them up, and that's what we did. And it's also why the guitar sound on that track is a lot cleaner than the rest of the album, because we used obviously different stuff and we had our own gear then. But the Island guys had brought in what we called fancy amps because we couldn't afford them, Fenders and stuff, Yeah. Like they would bring in a Fender and what a Vox or whatever, and it was like, ooh, and that's what we used. So at that time, the guitar sounds were basically set up by Ed Hollis, and the way he would have recorded it, say Eddie and the Hot Rods. So that's why we got that sound. Which, if you listen to some Eddie and the Hot Rods,
the only thing you want to do is come jumping into my head straight away. So I'm hearing parallels in a similar sound there.
Exactly, because it's. I mean, he like anybody has his own way of setting up the mixing desk, the studio desk, setting up the live studio part, using whatever, like whether he uses the SM57 mic on certain cabinets and things. And that's why when you get the sound, I can listen to it now and go, that's very like the first Eddie and Hot Rods album.
Yeah.
And that's why, same producer, same studio.
Yeah.
It just shows you that how much difference a producer and a studio makes to a record. If we had recorded that somewhere else, it would have sounded completely different.
Yeah.
Same song, but different sounds.
It's amazing to me how you listen to the Pistols live and then you listen to Nevermind the Bollocks, and there's a big difference. You know, the guitars are more ferocious on the album than they were live. Live they're cleaner and a bit more chorusy.
Well, I think the thing, of course, is the first Sex Pistols album, I think only one track was recorded with Glenn Matlock, who's the bass player who wrote a lot of the songs. And then when Sid came in, he couldn't really play bass. So if you've ever watched the documentary, there's a whole series of them on classic albums. It's an hour-long program on how to record certain albums, and that's one of the albums. Steve Jones basically plays everything. So there's like, and he used a Fender Twin, funny enough, but there is, he's the only one on it. So he's maybe got 4 rhythm guitar tracks going. And then he adds the bass, which, as he explains in the documentary, he basically just plays root notes. But when you do that live, you're talking about one guitar and a bass player who's sort of playing along, so it's not going to sound as full and as big. But that's the same way with most albums, I would say. Yeah.
So back to your guitar recordings. What guitars are you using?
I at the time had a Jake and me both started on these cheap guitars. We just called them Woolworths guitars, which is what they were. You know, my first guitar cost 27 quid. And it was, I got it from do you remember like catalogs, like Kez catalog, and when you pay things, like I got it from that. But by this stage, we had got what we thought were good guitars. So I had a Kimbara Stratocaster, and Jake had an Antoria Les Paul, which are, you know, mid-70s, probably mid-70s Japanese copies. And at that time, Japanese guitars weren't exactly sought after. So what we found, and much was we were like, we stayed in tune for more than one song. Because when we were doing Highway Star Band, we would have to tune the guitars. We were doing with the Woolworths guitars. You'd have to tune them after every song.
Yeah.
But these ones stayed in tune for like maybe a whole set. So that's what we were using, Kimbara and Antoria.
And what about Ali's bass?
He had... when we first met him, right, for his first rehearsal, he showed up and we were like, okay, we'll see if this guy's it. But he showed up with a Marshall half stack, and we were like, this guy must be good. And he had a Gibson, was it a Gibson copy he used to use? It was like an EBO sort of copy. I don't think at the time he had upgraded, because when he upgraded, he moved on to Guild. I have a feeling at the time he was basically using a copy of a Gibson bass, but it doesn't sound like a short scale to me. So he could have had something else he was using. That's funny. I don't remember that.
Are you saying that he whatever he upgraded to a short scale?
No, see, I don't remember if his bass at the time being a copy was a short scale, and also at the time. If you'd have said to me short scale bass, I wouldn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, it's a bass. I thought basses were all the same, you know. Yeah. So I'm not sure what he used on that, funny enough.
I'm just looking for images very quickly. Oh, yeah. See, Jake used to play a Yamaha.
That's later.
That's later. I see Ali's...
the Guild.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I was using a Music Man.
There's Jake with a Les Paul copy. That must be it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what about effects going into it?
What way?
What, did you have effects between the guitar and the amplifier? Or is it just all the dirt from the amp?
Just from the amp. No, we never ever, even now, we never use effects. Too much tap dancing.
Well, what about the sound?
The way we always did it, it's just because that's the way we started, I think, that we get it from the guitar and the amp. And, if you want to clean up, you turn your guitar down. But no, we never used effects. I think because those were Fender amps in the studio part, the live room, if you like, they must have been turned up definitely loud to get it to distort like that. So never anything between them, no.
I'm assuming there was a gain and there was a volume in those amps, or was it just all volume?
Fender Twins, I think, have a gain, but it doesn't go very. It doesn't work like the gain on, say, a Marshall 800 or something, where you're turning the gain up and that just brings on more distortion.
Yeah.
The way it's almost like a non-master volume amp, and in fact, I think it is non-master volume, where you just keep turning the volume up, and the more you turn the volume up rather than the gain, you get more distortion.
Wow, so it must have been taking the roof off the studio.
When you listen to, I mean, you listen to something back in the early 60s, like a Beach Boys guitar solo, perfectly clean, played that way. That's the way guitars sounded then. Still a Fender Twin.
Mm.
You go on to the Sex Pistols in 76, still a Fender Twin, totally different sound. Same amp, but the more you turn it up, you get a certain sort of gain from it. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where it's either pleasing to you or it's not. And I think sometimes a Fender Twin turned up full is a really nice sound. I prefer Marshall sound, but it's just a totally different type of distortion that works.
Yeah. Let's go into the song again. So we did the intro, and then I've split it up into intro 1.1, intro 1.2, and intro 1.3. So intro 1.1 is just play. Intro 1.2 sounds like this. That's two guitars in my ears. Is that you?
It is in mine too, but was it played twice? I'm not sure it was played twice.
It's got to be. Do you think?
Or is it ADT?
It's two different guitars.
It sounds like it. I wonder,
maybe Jake did the
doubled himself, but I don't remember that happening.
So you didn't play that part anyway?
I didn't play on that part because I would have been part of the other three of us. I wonder, was that doubled? I hear it now. Funny enough, I've never sat and listened to it that way. It's either doubled or it's ADT, automatic double tracking.
But the strumming's out, so that and
it's
not consistent.
Right?
Yeah.
I have to listen to that.
Yeah, and then I think also Jake's establishing the tempo, so it'd be very difficult for two people to play at the same time there.
That's what I'm thinking. So it would have been added, but also it doesn't have the timing discrepancies that the intro does.
Yeah, already he's going into 114, 116 BPM, and then 116, the latter part of that is pretty much the tempo of the song. So he's laying it down. And then you have the band coming in for 2 bars. Yeah, and you can hear the drum roll, the toms there. You can hear the mics on that. Really hear.
Yeah.
Cool. So, first verse, 4 bars. Yeah? Pretty standard. Now, I was doing a bit of analysis in this. Hold on a second. I'm going to get an Anunnaki here. So, let me put it on. So, the first chord is D. First chord is D, and the melody is F sharp. So he's singing the third.
Yeah.
And then the next chord is A, and he's singing A.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's singing E.
Okay.
So, and then the next chord is B minor, and he's singing an E. Yeah.
So that's a fourth of a B, yeah. Right. Okay.
Fourth or 11th. So it's B minor 11th.
Fourth or 11th. Yeah.
So he plays, he sings the D for the next part, which is G,
Yeah.
which is standard G. So
Yeah.
you got a B minor 11 or in the first.
I've got to tell you, I mean, that on that very subject, when we recorded this song and the rest of Inflammable Material, we got a call from one of the, music book people who put out sheet music.
Yeah, scores,
and
yeah.
they wanted to put out sheet music from Inflammable Materials. So, okay, give them the album. Apparently, most sheet music, even guitar music, is actually transcribed on piano.
Yeah.
Which I find weird, but we were told this at the time. Anyway, the guy came back for us to approve it, and we were like, what? The chords we had never even heard of, never made. Because the reason being, when we recorded back then, we didn't use a tuner and tuned it 440 or 40. We just lifted the guitar, and whichever one was the note closest to being in tune, we tuned to that one.
Yeah.
So some of them were probably, maybe almost a half step out and things. But the chords were great. We just kept it because we wanted to say to people, see, we use these fancy chords, like you're saying, B minor 11, and we were like...
Yeah, I admit I'm getting very anarchy. I'm probably being the worst here. Let me just put this cable on right. Hold on a second. Okay, that's 4 bars. And then I'm going to call it the pre-chorus. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So the pre-chorus is...
We ain't got nothing, but they don't really care. They don't even know, They just want money, we can take it or leave it.
Well, that's past it. That's chorus. You're right, you're past the part, the AG part.
So that's... well, I'm calling that pre-chorus. Now, listen. How many bars do you think that is?
Well, I could work it out, but...
Work it out.
8. Yeah, that's extra chord, yeah.
So
10.
No, well, 10. You're counting 2/4 time, which is what I was thinking as well. I'm counting in 4/4 time. So it's actually, 10 in 2/4 or 5 in 4/4. So I'm counting in 4/4. So it's 5 bars.
Okay.
That's not standard.
Again, it's not from any musical education. It's just because it sounded right.
It felt right, yeah. But, the thing is, you said initially, this isn't a complicated song. We've got a B minor 11 and we've got a section...
But it is a B minor 11.
I got a section that's 5 bars long, This is Queen territory, I would say.
No.
It is. Why not? Yeah.
Because, I mean, if we sat down and decided we wanted to write a song with these quirky bar times, but I mean, the way we always wrote songs is you just play and whatever feels right. Because we never sat down and said, well, this is 5 bars and this is whatever. It's just like, bah, 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 and it fitted the vocals. The vocals happened to stop on what would have been the 5th bar or whatever. And it's never planned. It's just the way it came out. It would be nice if we had the education to sit and go, let's make this one switch to 3/4 time and we'll play it. But not at that time, no.
I'm going to rephrase it. You're in Beatles territory. You're not in Queen. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the Beatles didn't understand much about what they were doing. They went on the vibe of the song, where the song was leading them. The troubadour. The troubadour's taking them, So, here we go, chorus. Okay. So, what are the chords there?
Okay. The D, C, which obviously A, then G.
So it's C. So D, C, C.
Yep.
The song is in the key of D.
Yep.
There's no C in the key of D.
C just was something that fit the vocals. Again, it could have been any chord. I mean, it could have been, okay, we're in D, so we'll just to be different, we'll put an F in it, or we'll put an A flat in it for absolutely no reason. Just fitted the vocals. There was never any, like I say, at the time, we might have known that that C obviously wasn't in the key of D, but it works.
Yeah, because
And it's also it doesn't really shift the key of the song,
No.
because it's just a borrowed chord.
exactly. I was talking about this in my latest video, which is going to be published tonight or tomorrow morning. It's a borrowed chord. That's what they call it. So the melody, that note is E. So
Yeah.
because C has got an E note in it, you can get away with it. Yeah. So you said F. You could use F major 7.
We bet
Doesn't sound right. Brilliant, eh? It's bloody brilliant. I mean, you could have. So.
yeah, this is the jazz version now,
Yeah. So how many bars again? I mean, you're counting 2, 4. So let's just count it out. 1, 2, 3,
9. Okay.
9. I mean, again, and then you got that. So you go back into D there. So that's bringing you into for the next part, which is your interlude.
Just repeat the first verse again.
Yeah, interlude 1, I'm calling this, which is the same as intro 1.3, which is 2 bars long.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm loving the energy of this. You know, you're talking about the don't click track, and it's about capturing. You're bottling. What is it? Bottling lightning, isn't that what they call it? Or bottling.
Yeah, and also I think at the time, I still of the opinion that I hate doing songs where you record part, this part, and then you put this part on, and you put whatever. To me, it just because of the way it's recorded, it takes a lot of the energy away. I mean, most of the energy from playing a song like that is because you're playing it as if you're performing it. Well, you are performing it in front of people, and you're beside each other, and you're getting into it the way people do. You can't. I don't care what anybody says. You can't reproduce that by doing track by track by track. You can still make an energetic song, of course you can. But you lose just the slight inflections and things of a live performance that, to me, just sounds that wee bit more authentic. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Queen or whatever. A Queen version of a live Queen version of one of their songs is obviously going to be different than the studio one. But for something that's distilled down like Alternative Ulster or something on the punk side of things, I just really miss that. I've been able to just set everything up in the studio and go for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So you got verse 2, 4 bars. It's got that B minor 11 again.
You say so.
Pre-chorus now.
Him again, yep.
Chorus 2. Do you hear that bass there? Do you hear there?
Yeah.
Ali could play from a young age.
He could play way better than we could. It's the time Jake and me when we recorded that, I'd only been playing for a year or something.
Wow.
And Ali was one of these. Fair enough. He was like a studier. He basically learned bass and learned parts and bass runs and stuff. He was a lot more accomplished than we were.
You know, whenever I say something that's maybe a bit out of the box and people stare at me, I often use in my defense, what would I know? I'm only a punk bass player. And because when I was 14 and before, I played SLF and the Undertones non-stop.
Right.
I was playing, and I was playing Ali's bass lines and also a Tearproof by the Undertones as well. I used to play that a lot. We got one.
Right.
But Ali's
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember back then thinking, this is bloody complicated. This is not standard stuff.
It's not.
Yeah. And the muscles that I built up in my arms, I think they're still there from when I was a kid, you know. By the way, I saw you guys in '87 in Ulster Hall.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Aslan.
Aslan was supporting you, that's right.
Yeah.
Brilliant gig. I love that. Bit too slow. Dolphin Taylor was a bit too slow in the drums.
This is where my big argument comes in. Dolphin, when Jim Riley left, that was the end of Stiff Little Fingers for me, because for two reasons. One, Stiff Little Fingers, we've always had this thing where we're Stiff Little Fingers from Belfast, which we no longer were. Also, everything slowed down.
Yeah.
Dolphin was very much a click track type of player.
Yeah.
He, I mean, don't get me wrong, Dolphin's a great drummer. I just don't think he was right for us.
Yeah.
He didn't have the, like Brian at the beginning was very like a raw punk drummer, a lot of hi-hat, a lot of blah. Jim Riley was a lot more sort of, I don't know what the word is, but he would do different types of roles.
In the pocket. He was in the pocket.
And he was in the pocket because that's what we needed. Then Dolphin came and it was almost very like studious, where, you know, okay, the song's at 114 and put the click at 114. So he'd record with the headphones on for the click and things like that. And that's to me was the end of it, because Stiff Little Fingers to me was the first three studio albums. After that, it just lost so much oomph. And I've always said this, even albums that I was on just weren't anything like what Stiff Little Fingers used to be. So I look back now and I've always said this, Stiff Little Fingers recorded 3 studio albums and a sort of live one. And that was it. So
you might be able to say the same thing about the Undertones.
The Undertones as well. I mean, I think after More Songs About Chocolate and Girls, it got a bit, by the time they were doing Julie Ocean and stuff like that, and then by the time they did, what was the album?
Sin of Pride.
Would have started bringing different instrumentation and all in. It's the same as we did with Now Then, which would have been our 4th studio album. And it takes away from what you were. Also, the argument against it, of course, is you don't want to just keep repeating yourself.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure you don't lose the very essence of what you were.
Yeah.
Nobody's like saying you have to. We have to record 4 different versions of Inflammable Material. That was never the point. And of course, you want to progress, but you want to make sure that you progress and you don't leave behind or throw away with the bathwater. You don't want to throw away the thing that made us what we were. And I think that's what we did.
I think the band that did that the best was Talking Heads.
See, the Talking Heads they still kept their whole that sort of semi-funk type thing going. So they never lost that. I mean, even David Byrne's solo, he still had that. You knew who it was. Yeah, apart from the fact, obviously, his vocals are really obvious. But even playing wise, he still kept that semi-funk type thing with the music. And I just think you have well, not have to, but for me, we should have. But we didn't. And I am probably as much to blame for that as anybody else. In fact, I know I am. So, because I would be writing songs for the later albums and they weren't anything like the first stuff. So it would be hard to say, they did this and I wasn't for it. It wasn't quite as black and white as that. It's just at the time, I remember even thinking when we were doing Now Then, this is not Stiff Little Fingers. Recording a click track and putting piano and stuff in and harmonies, which we never had because none of us could do them. It was like, it's like you've took away the meaning of the band Stiff Little Fingers, and that to me has always been a brick wall that says this is where it started and this is where it ended.
I have to ask you this now that you've mentioned them.
Go for it, yeah.
What is your favourite Undertones track?
Funny enough, haven't said it, I love Julie Ocean, but my favourite song is Here Comes the Summer.
Oh.
I love that, and I love Get Over You, both together. They're both great songs. They're just great pop songs.
Yeah. I asked... sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking that those are the ones I've always loved. Their singles have always been great. And some of the album tracks I always liked, but I think Get Over You and Here Comes the Summer just... because I think that they're those sort of songs you only need to hear them once and they're in your head. Do you know
the joke about Here Comes the Summer is that the boys are from Derry and the weather in Derry is even worse than it is in Belfast.
Oh, I know that.
And the irony is that the summer never came.
I know. We played with them. I played with XSLF, the band now. We played with them about 3 years ago. And I was sitting talking to Damien for about an hour and it was all that stuff. And it was like, because back in the days, we would always, both bands would write, say as much horrible things about each. Well, they used to say it about us, and we would just say, "Oh well, whatever." they didn't like us, so it became like the papers, of course, music papers loved that sort of thing, where you get one band sort of dissing on another band, and blah blah blah. But we always just thought, we could sit there and say things back to them, but what's the point?
What do you think was the source of that? Was that a Belfast Derry split?
No, it was more than that. They accused us of only putting forward the Protestant side of things. It was very sectarian, religious type thing. And they would say, oh, you only ever sing about the Protestant side of things. And to this day, I can't see where we do that. I
was just thinking in my head, where do you do that? Yeah, so
never. And we've done, I think, a flammable material have 5 songs about Northern Ireland out of 11, and no more songs about Northern Ireland, the Troubles we ever recorded any again. But they always said, well, you only ever put forward the Protestant side of things. And it was like, and not only that, we're a mixed band. Why would we do that? And it's like, so they used to attack us for that all the time. And then they'd say, and also you don't mean what you sing. And it's like, how do you know that? You're saying you can look into our minds and say we're just standing there going, oh, they'll buy this if we sing it, And it became a case of, where are you getting this from? So I never had any problem with them. I always liked that. Bought the Undertones albums, never got them off record companies. Went out to Caroline Music in Belfast and bought them because I thought they were great. What hit me, of course, at the time was they said, oh, you only take one side. And then they did the whole thing when the hunger strikers were on, supporting that. And it was like, well, that's very much the definition of being from one side.
Yeah.
So you're calling us out for doing it, and then years later, you do the same thing.
So they were in Top of the Pops at the time, and they were doing that song "It's Going to Happen," which is a political song. And then I think Damien wore a black armband.
He did.
Yeah. So, and that was in commemoration of maybe Bobby Sands died.
I mean, he even says at the time, that he did that. The rest of them didn't want to do it. He did it, and it's like, okay, but since that, I've sat with Damien, like I say, 3 years ago maybe. Sat and talked for hours like I'd known him all my life. I'm a Protestant from Northern Ireland. He's a Catholic from Londonderry, and it's like, well, so what?
Yeah.
That he even said, you look back at things and you go, you do things on the spur of the moment. But I don't like that. I never did understand where we put things from the so-called Protestant side. I don't see it. I can look through all the lyrics and I don't see it.
In fairness, I mean, both of you were very young. Both bands were very young, and also, I'm thinking about where they're from. They're from, Craig and Bogside in Derry, which is hugely deprived and political back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
People
where you're from,
look-
by the way, Henry. Are you from a deprived area? Was it?
Where I grew up, it was where I grew up in Belfast. It was a Protestant area of so many streets, totally surrounded by what were Catholic areas, Republican areas, if you like.
Was that North Belfast or East?
North Belfast, and then there was nights where, and the book I have out, I wrote about it. There was nights we had to sleep underneath the bed because there was a police station about 500 yards from our house, and they would be shooting from obviously the Catholic area down the street at the police station, and you had to be out of the way because who knows where ricochets would land.
Yeah.
And there were times my dad would be up and we would have to put the wardrobe in front of the window to go to sleep, and we'd all sleep in the same room just so that we were under mattresses and things to be safe. Like, I'm not saying that to get some sympathy. That's just what became normal life, and that's the way we looked at it. It wasn't like woe is me. It was like that's what you do. And I still look back now and say, people say, "Oh, you never had your childhood." Yes, I did, and it was great. I loved it. But it had that side that most people don't have. So to say, they're from a deprived area and you're not. If you saw where I grew up, you would not say that.
It was crazy times. I mean, I remember whenever I moved to England and I was walking down the street and I saw this police station that you could just walk in off the pavement. I couldn't believe
the other thing for us is you walked into shops, you didn't have to put your arms out to be searched.
Yeah.
The first time we went to London, of course, we walked in and the first thing you do was do this and wonder why there's nobody searching it.
Okay, let's go back into it. On that note,
yes.
chorus 2, 9 bars again.
Yeah.
That's got a motor chorus. Now we're going to go into the bridge. Okay, before we do it, 10 bars the bridge is. 10 bars.
Okay.
Not 8, not 4, not 16. 10.
11 and a half.
Wouldn't be surprised.
They say they're a part of you, and that's not true, They say they got control of you, and that's a lie, They say you will never be
See.
free.
See. So, I mean, that for me, so that's B minor.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Sorry. So you come up to A for the last part.
Yeah.
Then C. Again, it doesn't fit there. G. Oh, it does fit. And then, because from the C going to the A,
Yeah.
that I can feel the ground shifting underneath me as a listener whenever that happens.
Again, it's shifted from that borrowed chord back into the key of the song.
Yeah.
Maybe yourself, borrowed chords sometimes just work as if they're part of the key. It's not so jarring that if we had thrown in, like we say, if we'd have thrown in instead of C, if we'd have thrown in a D flat,
Aye.
it would have been whoa.
Yeah.
But that borrowed chord just fits because really, technically, I suppose you're actually moving into the key of G because you're C G D.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but it doesn't come off that way. It doesn't come off as a key change. It's just that borrowed chord adds a bit of, I don't know, just variation to it. That's enough of a variation to be noticeable, but not to be jarring.
Yeah. I was talking about borrowed chords there, as I say in my latest video, and the example I gave goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king. Here's a borrowed chord. Composing, hallelujah. So it should be E minor, but he plays E or E7, depends on how.
And it works.
It works, yeah, because the melody is in the note of the chord, not in
Exactly.
third. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You're taking the note from the chord itself.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's the perfect place to get a melody note is from the chord that's being played.
And then we do the guitar break, which is intro 1.1 repeated, but this time we've got the drums playing.
And me doing
yeah.
the chugga bit.
Yeah. So, by the way, in that whole track, so that we've heard so far, except for the intro, whenever the band comes in, there's no guitar overdubs there.
Not that I remember. I think that's just the two of us playing it live.
Yeah, and it's only one vocal. Jake, you're not doing backing vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. So here we go, guitar break. So you're just going. Again, I hear a second guitar in there doing the lead line.
I do too, but I can't think why. The only thing I'm wondering, would they added a very short delay to the original guitar?
Let's hear it again, because let's see if it's out of time, or as I say, out of sync with the other. See that one there in my right ear? I'm hearing a different note there to the left. Sorry, let me just go back. Yeah, and the time in there.
Yes, I hear it there.
The right that started
The way,
center.
It could have been overdubbed then, of course, because you've got the drums then to keep time with.
Yeah. And do you think that would have been Jake doing it, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was at the time, because I never bothered learning it.
Why should you? You only played a year.
Exactly. You do it, I just sit here till you're rabbit. That chicka bit, I had wanted to add something, and I thought, what can you add? Yeah. And people always remember that bit. Yeah. Because it just adds, again, just something over the top of it that's it's not exactly the same as the earlier thing. And I just remember sitting thinking, what if I just went chugga? Oh, this here's fighting with me. It's back. I'm going to have to plug this in. But yeah, I just wanted to add something, and it did. It just added something that sound to it. Yeah. And I was pleased with it at the time, because I thought, oh, that's not bad. Yeah. So I just added that in, and that's just a bit of it, just to differentiate the sections. And now even playing it anywhere, like the band XSLF I'm in now, we're a 3-piece, and we still do that, but the bass player does the chuggas. Right. I was going to ask you, was there ever a bass part in that? Do you remember? A bass part in that guitar break? No. So Ollie always dropped out? I think that was deliberate, because we wanted a real light and shade type thing, where it was a definitive down and back up again. Yeah. Listening to it back then, I remember thinking, you could have just added a constant D note. Yeah. But it would work. And I mean, if he just was dum 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 dum, but we just liked it the way it would just drop down, then it gave you the build back up again. So I don't think it was ever even mentioned it would maybe do something bass wise on it. Do you know, I've been doing some analysis in the background. I want to do this here type of talk again, and I'll probably be by myself, but the track I'm thinking of is With or Without You. And I'm thinking about whenever that first came out, I remember hearing it and thinking, that's just Alternative Ulster, but slower. It was. It's exactly the same key, exactly. But you do have Adam playing that really straightforward bass part. It's really dum. Yeah. And for me on that song, it works. But exactly. But it was the bass part. But the reason why I'm thinking about it now is that part where he was just holding the D, and then Bono goes that really high. I can't sing it because I'm baritone. Oh, towards the end of the song. Yeah, so that for me is the same as the guitar break, in that it drops down and goes across and then up again.
But Adam's just holding the, and he's not even playing don't. I think he's just doing this.
Was he just? I'll just single note.
Yeah.
Right.
And but I remember whenever that came out, I was thinking, because I was a 13, 14-year-old boy whenever it came out.
Yeah.
I was thinking, that's the Alternative Ulster, they've stolen it, you know, and it was all punked out, and it's like, ah.
You know, I never actually thought of it that way.
No
but just
way,
thinking of
really?
That song now, yeah, just thinking of that song now, I can see where you're thinking that.
Wow.
It's the structure of the whole song.
Yeah,
The first
so-
part, yeah. Yeah. Just doubling the time.
Has he got a B minor 11 though? That's what I want to know.
You see,
I
they're
think it
working
has.
off of that.
The thing about that I mean, that song's, as I've gotten older and I've slowed down, etc. The genius of that song has come out to me, and there's no part where they're really there's very few parts where the Edge is actually playing chords. He's doing those single notes.
Yeah.
Just the ebow, or it's not even ebow. It's like a Fernandez sustainer guitar, just holding the note, and yeah. It's genius. So I would say there's a few B minor 11s in there.
Oh, there probably is.
Because of the delay on it, you know.
Right. So, of course, without all that, the Edge wouldn't be the Edge. I mean, it would just sound like somebody strumming a folk song without all the stuff. Because I mean, when you look at what he actually does, most of the stuff he does is so basic. But when you put all the delays on it, it becomes epic.
Yeah, absolutely. I read or I saw somebody online talking about the two people who have changed guitar playing the most in the last, say, 50 years, Eddie Van Halen and The Edge.
I would agree. I would definitely agree. And it doesn't matter the sort of music. It's more important to what you look at music as a whole. I would agree with that, because before Eddie Van Halen, who was doing that million stuff? And before The Edge, who would have just used delay as an instrument?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think you're right about that. It's very hard to think of anybody else, and then you're going to get people saying, "Well, no, what about?" Yeah, but you look at somebody, Jimmy Page. Yeah, but that was still just blues rock. I mean, it was built on other things, and you go on. Who else would there have been? Then you could say Steve Vai, but it's still just rock. Yeah. It's still just rock based on the same sort of scale systems. But there's no totally different sounds that for my ears that Eddie Van Halen and The Edge, you can immediately say, oh, that's that and that's that. And also you can tell, because if somebody has suddenly this army of copycats coming after them, why? Because it's different.
Yeah.
The Edge said the nicest thing about me in the book. There was a book about Stiff Little Fingers, and The Edge was that interviewed him, and he said, we still love going to see Stiff Little Fingers when they played down in Dublin. He said, well, we just love the way Jake would, yell at the crowd and all. I said, but we actually came to see Henry. He said, because he just was a bundle of energy and no pretense. He said he would just bash the guitar, and that's what I always did. And it was like, well, thanks.
Brilliant. I see, I've seen a few documentaries about the Clash and Sex Pistols and all the rest, and they were talking about how these London bands would have loved to have had the backdrop of what you guys had in terms of the actual political reality. You talked about the wardrobe up against the window for bullets, stray bullets. Were you aware of that at the time?
Yeah, I mean, at the time when the first Clash album came out, I mean, you look at it and a lot of it's about, having no job, signing on, things, all stuff like that. And that was true of their lives, because obviously, as we always said in interviews then, we could have sat down and wrote songs about, rolling up and down the freeways of LA in our sports cars. What do we know about that except seeing it on TV? So we did know that we had that, but it wasn't, you've got to stop short of making that such a thing that it's all you can talk about. Of course it makes a big difference to us, but as we have always said, people have said, oh all you did was cash in on the Troubles. 5 songs. 5 songs out of everything.
But the other thing is, I mean, Seamus Heaney did it to the nth degree.
Yes.
You write about what you know.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Which we did.
Whether it's Brooks Braun or Suspect Devices. And, I remember the first time I came across inflammable material. So I was probably about 12 at the time.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm 53 now. So 12 was 1985 for me.
Right.
And all I was thinking, this could be the news I'm listening to, because it was, the lyrics are just like, these are things that you hear all the time,
Yeah.
and I thought, the thing, damned if you do, damned if you don't, do what you want to do, and do anything you want to do, and
For a song.
and what I got from that is an authenticity of the era and the time that we were in and where we were.
There has to be, because I always say, and I still say it to this day, if we had went in without the belief in what we were singing, I think it's noticeable. Because people aren't stupid. You can't look down on people and say, well, they won't know, because people aren't like that. People will know. It's like I've always said, we do a live gig, and you put everything into it. Because if you stand there and go through the motions, people are going to know that. If you walk onto a stage, you just play the songs and, get over with just to get your money and leave, it's obvious. And I think had we been doing songs that we didn't believe in, it would have been very hard for us to put them across with any sort of real belief or feeling in them. It's doable, of course it's doable, but millions of people have done it. But we never, as we always said, when people said, well, what about having somebody write your lyrics? Yes, but nobody ever told us what we could and couldn't sing, or what we were going to and not going to sing. If Gordon said, here's the lyrics, this is what you have to sing, we wouldn't have done it. I mean, is that Svengali? We didn't just sit there going, yes, yes, yes. So we would get the lyrics and we go, eh. So the argument against that was always, yeah, but he does have ideas. And it doesn't matter where ideas come from. If you believe in them, which we did, it's not just for sensationalism. It's not just because, oh, hey, yeah, like I said earlier, not because people are going to go, oh, yeah, that's right. You sing about what you believe in, you sing about what you know, and if you don't, for me, if you don't, what are you doing except just cashing in on people's being gullible? And that's just not the way to do it. Why don't I sound very grandiose?
Okay, we're at the outro, and here we go. So we've just had the guitar break. Here we go.
Alternative Ulster. Alternative Ulster.
You got the C there. Yeah.
Alternative Ulster. Go and get it now.
That was a punk, country, and western finish.
The end part, of course, is just the chords drawn through really quick.
Yeah.
D, C, G, D, C, G, D. That's it.
Yeah, and but it's all C's there, which that's that modal. You're pretty much changing the key of the song, but it doesn't feel like it because it's a borrowed chord. Yeah, I love Ali's playing in this. I didn't pick it up in the bridge. He's playing. If you go back to the bridge, where do you hear the bass playing here? He's doing a bit of Motowny stuff.
And they say they're a part of you, and that's not true,
Dong 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 dong.
They say they got control of you, and that's a lie,
And then if you go to the outro, he's got that.
Alternative Ulster.
Oh, yeah. Down there, yep.
Alternative Ulster. Alternative Ulster. Alternative Ulster. Go and get it now.
Oh, so cool. So cool.
And I think that lends its part to me saying that you could have a main writer.
Yeah.
But Jake or anybody, or even on my songs, we never come up with the bass lines. And some of the songs on SLF albums, the bass really, you look at Gotta Getaway, it's the bass line makes that song.
Yeah.
So to me, it's really, I just think it's a weird way of saying it, one name underneath the song written by. Well, yeah, originally that part, but all the other parts, you can't just blow them off and say, oh, well, it's my song and that's the way it is. Because everything's, the whole thing is an amalgam of all the parts. And if you were Mike Oldfield, it did write all the parts, fair enough, but you didn't.
Well, so you took the same approach to U2 in that everybody got a credit, is that right?
See, we started with that. All our credits were Fingers Ogilvie, because Gordon wrote lyrics, and because he wasn't part of the band, we always called him the stiff little thumb. But then later on, I hate to say this, when money, like it does with a lot of bands, money came in and spoiled it, and Jake wanted to then split up the songs he wrote, songs I wrote. And I thought, well, that's not right, because it's not the way it was. But that's when money starts to take hold, and, then it takes away from what the band was and just becomes business.
Yeah.
And I just, I've never been anything for that sort of thing. Business to me is a word that's spelt funny, But
so, the Jake relationship, how do you view it now?
I have no problem. Jake and me have been friends since, I met him in 71, we've been friends since 1974. And we were, close as you could be. And then little figures happened and things sort of got a bit awkward between me and him, and I don't know what it was, and I could see different things in him that I didn't like, and I'm sure he was the same about me. Then we sort of we just need to get past it all and get back to being friends the way it always was. We had a management team that came in, and this is when we reformed in '87, and to be honest, this guy was nothing but money. He would phone up companies every day and see what we could get for free and things. And so he put forward this idea that we should cut Gordon Ogilvie out of getting royalties. And he's so good at it that we believed him. We actually said, okay, we'll need to tell Gordon. And of course we did, and Gordon went, oh, you think so, do you? Because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You can't do that. But then, because that's obviously about money, it was, well, you're throwing money down the toilet and whatever. Same then came about me, and Jake said, wouldn't tell anybody what it was or what it is. And people still ask me, and I say the same thing, money. Because while I was in the band, I was getting a percentage, where if he got other people to play, they could be on a wage, which is a big difference. I would be getting a percentage of all the income like we always did. But somebody on a wage, you could say you agree to them, you'll get so much money, then maybe say merchandise or whatever, you don't get anything from. And that's what it came down to, because I know and worked with the people that were there when this happened, that I know exactly what they're like, and it's just got the hallmarks of the Gordon Ogilvie thing all over again. Now talking to Jake, because I had a brain tumor then in 2012, and he called me. We were on the phone for must have been about an hour and a half, and it was just like we used to be at school almost. But then, any time since, I've tried to get hold of him. This is ridiculous, but he had everybody, including himself, block me on Facebook, so I can't speak to them. If I need to talk to Jake, I have to get somebody else to do it for me, because I'm not allowed. I'm also not allowed in any SLF forum or anything, which is like, I started the band. So it became a point of, I would say, well, you fancy doing this? And he'd be like, oh, I don't know, whatever. And I thought, you know what? Forget it. If you want to get hold of me, you know where I am. There comes a point where you stop chasing somebody and you realize that, why am I doing all this chasing? You know, if he wants to talk to me, I'm here, he knows where I am. And that's the way it is at the minute. I've no problem with him, and he's, as far as I know, he's no problem with me. But we just haven't really had any occasion. The last time I think I saw Jake played Rebellion. I played Rebellion basically every year, and I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. I went up to the dressing room and was in with Jake and talking away, and it was good fun. Gordon was there too, and it was just, do you remember this and do you remember that and you remember this and blah blah blah. But since then, I can't think I've ever seen him since, or heard from him. So that's where it's at the minute, and if that's the way he wants it to be, then okay.
Do you hold grudges? Would you welcome them?
I used to. I did used to. I did at the beginning because I thought, you know, at the end of the day, you told me it was, you know, the usual musical differences nonsense. And I know it's about money, and never admitted it, never. And I up until for about 3 or 4 years, I just thought, you know what, I started that band without. And I've never been one for doing this, blowing my own trumpet sort of thing. I said, you see, if I had to come up with this idea of starting this band, you'd still have been playing bars in Belfast, playing blues songs. And it's like, so I always had that, I would think, you know, who do you think you are? But then as time went on, I just thought, what's the point? How long do you carry baggage? Just for the, well, it's not change anything. I mean, all you're doing is carrying stuff you shouldn't have with you. You're carrying unwanted baggage, and you just need to let it go. Well, I mean, if there's no any point to it, if it was because, you know, it was going to change something, fair enough. But so I just came to one day. I just thought, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering? If that's what he wants to do, and go out with a band calling it Stiff Up Fingers, which it isn't, then let him. That's fair enough. And I think once I let that go, it was just far easier. It just meant I could look back and say, well, that was me. I'm responsible for that. And for the Stiff Up Fingers albums, which are the first 3, I'm responsible for that. After that, I have no idea. I haven't heard a lot of stuff since that, because it's just not my sort of thing. I've heard songs and things. I think Jake always wrote good songs, but it's just not got the edge or the oomph that it used to have. I've seen him live once, and I remember thinking, whoa, this is just corporate. It was so slick, and doing songs like sort of popular songs of ours as a medley and things. It was like, no. And so I just walked away thinking, oh, okay. And the number of people when I do XSLF gigs that say, because we only play the songs from basically the first 2 albums, and we do them like Stiff Up Fingers used to be, say, in the late 70s. They'll say the same thing, you know, we'll go to see, but it's nothing but nostalgia. And that's fair, because what act from back then isn't, unless you're somebody like, say, U2, who have constantly kept going. It's not like they had a break in the middle and then decided we'll start again and a whole different way of doing things. But I just so next year is going to be the 50th anniversary, but it isn't. Stiff Up Fingers haven't existed for 50 years, so it's 50 years since I had the idea of it, but it's not 50 years of Stiff Up Fingers, is it? I mean, that's just not true. So we'll see what happens next year. It'll be interesting.
Would you welcome him if he knocked your door? Would you bring him in for a cup of tea?
He's still, as far as I'm concerned, he's still the guy I went to school with. We grew up together. We get into trouble at school doing stupid things, and you never forget that. You know, if I had met him and you know, he had joined a band I was in, or I joined a band he was in, slightly different. But when you've got the whole growing up together, basically, and doing stupid things in school and getting into trouble for each other and all that, I just think it adds something that a lot of people don't have. And I wouldn't feel that way about Ali, because Ali was somebody who joined a band. Don't get me wrong, I really like the guy, but he wasn't. I didn't grow up with him that way. So to me, he's the guy that joined the band and I played with for all those years. Jake's different, and whether that's corny, it's not meant to be. It's just the way I see it. That when you're friends with somebody, you can remember getting into trouble in school together. It just adds that wee bit more, you know. And yeah, I mean, I have no problem with him at all. I would would not do anything you want to do there. But yeah, I mean, whatever ideas, I've always thought, what would it be like if we sat down and wrote some songs together, what it would come out like. But at the minute, that's just fantasy. You know, it's just me sitting thinking, I wonder what that would be like. And I think, to me, I think it would have, because we never did that. All the years of things, we never sat down and wrote a song together. We did one that we needed an extra song for the Go For It album. We were one song short. And there was the one night I was sitting in the studio and Jake says, oh, we're all the way down to the pub. And I remember grabbing him going, you're not going to the pub. I said, we need a song and it's not going to just appear out of thin air. So we sat down and I had the basic chord part and he wrote a part. Only song we ever wrote
What
together.
song was it?
So Go For It, the song itself.
Go For It.
Instrumental. Yeah.
Wow. That's a classic track.
The only time we ever did that. Never did it before.
Should do it more.
I thought that too, because to me, two people's ideas can be better than one person's ideas just because there's things you wouldn't think of. But I often wondered what that would have been like.
Wow.
But,
so you're very much like Abbey Road, Let It Be type of music writing, in terms of writing separately and bringing it to the band.
That's the way it was.
And then the band would bash it out together.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it would get morphed into a band thing rather than a single idea from one person, like Jake or me or whoever. It would get morphed into Stiff Little Fingers then, if you want.
Yeah.
That's the way it always was until it wasn't.
So back to the song. It's finished there, but
there's a song in there.
I'm interested about the artwork. Was that also a stock image?
I think it was. What happened with the cover of Alternative Ulster? I know it was. The pillar that the wee guy's sitting on was a lot taller. Mm-hmm. I say a lot taller, maybe 1.5 feet taller. So we cut the pillar, reduce it so that he would be right down beside the soldier there. To put it in, we then got.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? So you cropped the image? So
yeah. How
did you manage that back in the day?
Well, I mean, a newspaper art department, a newspaper photographic department.
Wow.
I mean, the
so
guy
on the square image, he would never have appeared together, or else it'd be too far away.
He would have been probably on the dimensions of that. You'd probably have seen his feet, maybe.
Right.
And the capping on the pillar, but we brought it down so that he was fully in it together with it. We got a few years after it became popular, we got, of course, a lawsuit coming out. That's my son. I want paid for it, and it was like it never went anywhere. You know, I think we might have given him something, but it was like no, that was what it was. So it's a stock piece. And obviously the original photographer liked the idea of almost the kid having fun and the soldier there, you know, probably in danger or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an easy job doing what he's doing.
It looks like a kid's praying as well, almost.
Yeah, I mean, it just works to me. It shows the two images of the same moment in time, if you like, but just seen in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one's the soldier who's there doing what he has to do, and he's whatever. But the guy on top of the pillar doesn't think anything about that. He's just there acting the goat and having a laugh.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then 78 RPM is a B-side.
Yep.
For me, it's still one of the best guitar solos I've ever heard.
What happened there was we were recording it. The guy, Jake, said, I haven't got a guitar solo for that. And the guy said, just go in and go mad and play anything. Right. So I don't think he could ever replicate it because he just went, just kept playing. So it doesn't really have any rhyme or reason. And that it's not, it's not like, doesn't have based around the chord tones or anything. I was in, what key is it in? I can't remember what key that song's in. But it was just like, if it's in B or A or something, go and do something in that key, and that's all it was.
Wow. And maybe, Tom Waits says that line that songs don't like to be recorded, you have to sneak up on them.
Or songs come into your head when you're not expecting them to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a song, I'm sure you're sitting watching TV and you suddenly think, you realise, well, that's not somebody else's song, I've never heard that before. Of course, the reverse is true. You come up with something you think's great, and then you remember, oh, that's that shampoo advert.
Oh, that's brilliant. Then, whenever the song came out, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that story in terms of how far did it go up the charts, and what did you guys think?
It never officially went into the charts because it was released. Rough Trade, the record shop, then released it as a single because at that time we had only done Suspect Device and we had done it all ourselves. I mean, we formed the label and we sat in Gordon's house sticking the covers together, with cutting them out of paper and sticking them together with Pritt stick and all this and sticking the records in. But by that stage, Rough Trade were the distributors and they asked, would we be interested in maybe putting something out with them? And that's where the next thing we were looking at was Alternative Ulster, and that went through Rough Trade. So Rough Trade being totally independent, they didn't hand in a chart position thing every week. So more say Virgin Megastore or anything like that, they'll hand in their sales, and that's how you supposedly add up what somebody's doing in the charts. Rough Trade never did that because it was totally independent. They just did what they did and sold records, and it didn't count towards a chart position. So it never really went anywhere. But I know it sold a bucket load of records.
It got into number 11 in the UK indie charts, it says.
Indie charts, okay.
Yeah. But it didn't chart in the top 40, no. I'm guessing. Oh, it's a shame. And tell me about the legacy of how you view it now.
It's the song that made the band. It's the song that, even though Suspect Device before it was probably more important, it's our first single, and it's also set out a lot of what we were. Alternative Ulster has become this, like a lot of bands here, like cover bands will do it, and they'll always say, now I would like you to stand for the national anthem, and it's Alternative Ulster. So, and that's what it's become. It's become a song that through every gig I've ever done, Stiff Little Fingers and XSLF or me solo, you can't not play it.
Yeah,
it's
your ace of spades.
It is, and it's like or paying to go to see, I don't know, the Stones, and they don't play Satisfaction or Honky Tonk Woman. You'd be going, why did you not play? But yes, it's become our song where people go, so you start to know what it is.
Yeah.
So it's because it's from that point of view, it's probably the most important song we ever wrote.
Yeah. And whenever it's getting picked up by Dairy Girls, for example, what do you feel?
And like the fact that people still care about it now, coming up to what, nearly 50 years later, is great, because it shows you that it's hard to look at it from the outside when you're so tied in with it, you know, because to me you start sounding like, oh, of course we knew this was going to happen. Of course we didn't have a clue. But now you see it being used there. It's been used in so many TV programs, and you just think, oh, that's great. That's us. You are back to your days of, that's me on the TV there.
It must be a thrill. You know,
Of course it is.
I'm looking forward to that day where I'm actually on vinyl. That's yet to happen. But you're beyond that. You're not only on vinyl, you're like appearing on like movies and TV shows, and yeah, that's fantastic.
I mean, you, things like that are always great. I mean, I still watch High Fidelity, that film where the guy comes in. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, John Cusack.
The guy comes into the record shop and he's playing, I think it's Suspect Device, and the kid goes up to him and says, "Is this the new Green Day?"
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "No, if Green Day paid what they owe this band, they would have been millionaires."
That's right. I remember that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch that part, he goes into the record.
Was that Jack Black? Was it?
Jack Black is behind the counter. Yep.
Yeah.
And the guy says, I think it's a guy or a girl, maybe a girl, but anyway, and says, "Is this the new Green Day?" And he says, "No, but if Green Day paid this band what they should have."
And did you know that before you saw the movie? Did you know? Oh. So you just jumped out at you?
Well, I'd read the book.
Oh, okay.
And of course, it's not in the book. It's because it's just dialogue.
Right.
No, I never saw it until it came out.
Wow. So you must have.
I was like, oh.
That's fantastic. Henry, I'm going to stop it there.
Okay.
I never thought I could talk for over an hour and 40 minutes about one song. And it's been brilliant. And no, I've loved this. And, you know, I was a huge fan as a kid, so I still am a big fan of your music. So it's been an honour for me to have had this conversation.
You.
Yeah, and we'll do it again if you want, for just talking about inflammable material.
I'll have to listen to it because I don't have not a problem.
And so where can people find out more about XLF?
XSLF, you do it as well. People can't find it hard to say that name.
Did I not say XLF?
You just said XSLF.
I said XLF. I didn't XSLF. Oh, I couldn't even say it. XSLF. My God.
When a guy introduced us at the weekend there, we were playing over in London, and he couldn't say it. He came on at the end and he said, "No, if you want some more, let's have back XLS." And I just, he tried twice, and I just walked on. And I said, "Forget it. They know who you're talking about." XSLF.
Yeah.
We did have the website. We'll put it down. But if Facebook will have our band page. We're out basically about 6-7 months of the year, just doing our thing, and people are enjoying it, and that's the way it is. Guaranteed that if you come out and see us, you'll have fun.
Yeah. So XSLF, you can find them on Facebook.com/XSLF Belfast.
Yep, 2 albums you'll find on websites and things. So at the minute we are just about to go in and record another EP, and we've only one more weekend of gigs to go, and then I'm back to America because I live in America. So I leave again then in the middle of June, and then we're back starting off again in August.
Brilliant. Well, here, Henry, thanks again, and keep on strumming.
Exactly. The day it becomes a job is the day I don't do it.
Yeah. Do anything you want to do.
Exactly. And I know what I want to do.
Thank you, Henry.
Thanks. That was nice. That was fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. If you know someone who might value this conversation, please feel free to pass it on. The Ireland podcast is intended as a record of long-form conversations like this. And if you would like to support the continuation of the work, there is a link in the notes. Take care.